breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warmer for the hello. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. We've got an excellent podcast for you. We're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends. We're going to be chatting it up with Colby Marchio. He does such great work over at Better Day. He's now the newest member over there at the Covers team as well. We're going to chat with him about what he's been seeing of the Chicago White Sox, a team that's presented him with quite a bit of value. He's taking a look at the player prop market as well. He does a lot of team totals as well, while he's staying away a little bit more here in June until we get just a little bit more of a sample size as well. And we're going to talk about some of the players in general that he's been finding some value on here recently. In the final segment, I'm going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, do have one or two ways to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Wanting to not get in any Twitter/X questions today. We had ourselves a fun day of baseball on Wednesday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Miami Marlins get the job done, and they complete the sweep of the Washington Nationals 4-1. The final as Max Meyer, great start here, 1 run allowed over the course of 7 innings. Calvin Fauché, Pete Fairbanks, they both find a scoreless inning, and you had Esteury Ruiz go deep off the starter, and Andrew Alvarez, third home run season. Not a bad start here for Alvarez, not a lot of length, but 1 run allowed in 4 2/3 innings. Brad Lord said, "Oh Lord," to giving 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Orlando Robalta, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless, but then Clayton Beeter gives up 2 runs in 1 1/3 innings. Gus Varland, he gives up a run in 2/3 of an inning. Paxton Schultz out of the bullpen scoreless, but nothing doing for a Nationals team that currently leads the league in terms of run creation. A team that was able to create some runs, the Detroit Tigers, they take down the Tampa Bay Rays and they win this series 7-2 the final. Rays have now lost 8 out of their last 10 games. Nick Martinez, I thought was doing for some regression, and he experienced that on a Wednesday. 6 runs allowed in 4 innings, taking deep twice. Jake Rogers, first home run season. Dylan Dingler, team high 14th. Mason Englert from there, good and long relief. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. Troy Melton, well, he did not melt down in this game. 2 runs allowed over the course of 8 innings. Did give up a home run to Cedric Mullins, 4th home run season. Drew Anderson from there, a shutout inning to be able to get that one to the window. Being able to get this one to the window, the New York Metropolitans, 7-1. They take down the Seattle Mariners. Freddie Peralta, a pretty nice start here. He goes 6 innings, allows a run along the way. That 1 run, solo home run to J.P. Crawford, 10th home run of the season. From there, Brooks Raley, Luke Weaver, and Joey Gerber were able to give you a scoreless inning. Meanwhile, for George Kirby, not what he was looking for. 5 runs, 4 of which were earned, given up over the course of his 4 innings. For the Mets, they were able to go just 3 of 15 with men in scoring position, but they were able to put a lot of pressure on the Mariners with 14 total hits. You had Edward Bizardo from there, give up a run in an inning. Jose Ferrer and Cooper Griswold both on a scoreless inning. Alex Hoppe, not happy, but not unhappy about the fact that he gave up 1 run over the course of 2 innings, but by then, damage had very much been done. Being able to do some damage, the Chicago White Sox. We'll talk a little bit more about them with our good friend Colby Marchio. 8-0. They take down the Minnesota Twins. Eric Fetty whopped, did not get whopped. 5 shutout innings. From there, you had 2 scoreless innings apiece out of both Chris Murphy and Grant Taylor. Meanwhile, this was not what the Twins were hoping for out of Taj Bradley. He was playing games. He looked like Milton. 4 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. Andrew Benintendi would then go deep off of Cody Lawyerson. 6th home run of the season for Lawyerson. 3 runs allowed in his inning where Garrett Gorze, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Taylor Rogers, Justin Lawrence, they both give you a scoreless inning. But for the White Sox now, 33-29 thus far this season. The Phillies, they get the job done against the Slam Diego Padres. This by a count of 3-2. Christopher Sanchez has his scoreless inning streak snapped after, I believe it was 49. Might have been 50, but he gives up 1 run in 7 innings. He has been on a historic run. From there, Brad Keller does give up a run in an inning, but Yohan Duran closes the door. Scoreless 9th inning out of him, and Walker Buehler gives up 1 run over the course of 6 innings. From there, Jason Adam uncharacteristically give up a pair of runs, pair of solo home runs. JT Realmuto, 3rd home run of the season. Kyle Schwarber, league-leading 23rd home run of the campaign. Wandy Peralta, from there, was able to give you 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Shohei Ohtani continues to be absolutely fantastic. For the Dodgers, they get the job done 7-0. The final in this one is where the Dodgers 16 hits in this game. Zach Allen, well, he got filled up. 5 runs, 4 of which were earned. Give it up in his 5 innings of work, including a home run to Kyle Tucker. He's struggled this year, but that's his 5th of the campaign. From there, Brandon Pfaadt battled his way through an inning. He gave up 2 runs. Taylor Clark is scoreless inning out of the bullpen. Ryan Thompson, Jonathan Loaiska, they combined for 2 shutout innings. Jonathan Hernandez, after Shohei Ohtani, goes for 6 shutout innings. Only gives up 1 walk along the way. Jonathan Hernandez, 2 shutout innings. Jack Dreyer, he's able to polish it off. He was able to get a scoreless inning of his own. The Guardians, as big underdogs, get it done against the New York Yankees. 5-4 the final. Garrett Cole had not allowed a run going into the start, albeit very small sample size, but gives up 4 here in 5 1/3 innings. Take it deep now once, not twice, but 3 times. Kyle Manzardo, 7th home run of the campaign. Reese Hoskins is 6th. Jose Ramirez, his 9th. From there, you had Tim Hill give up a run in 2/3 of an inning of work. Paul Blackburn walks the plank, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Fernando Cruz, 4 outs scoreless. And for Gavin Williams, he gives up his fair share of runs, gave up a pair of bombs. Jazz Chisholm, 7th home run season. Jose Cabrera is 5th, gives up 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Bullpen from there goes to work. Cade Smith does give up a run in an inning, but 21st save of the season. Colin Holderman, Hunter Gaddis, both give you a scoreless inning. And Tim Aaron, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. The Red Sox get the job done 8-1 over the Baltimore Orioles. For the Orioles, Chris Bassett, he was taken out of this game hook, line, and sinker very early. 3 runs allowed over the course of 3 innings. Taken deep in this game by Weiler Abreu. Wiles out for his 7th home run season. Peyton Tolley, though, he was tremendous on the flip side for Boston. 6 shutout innings. Ryan Watson, 3 innings of long relief. Gives up a run, and Albert Suarez, not what he was looking for. 5 runs allowed in 2 innings. You did have Anthony Nunez give you 2 shutout innings. Grant Wolfram, a scoreless inning out of the bullpen as well, but for the Orioles, nothing doing at the plate for them. Not a lot doing for the Cincinnati Reds. They were on to a 5-2 loss to the Kansas City Royals. Chase Burns, 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. He was taken deep by Vinny Pasquantino, 6th home run of the season. Then Nick Lofton in the 9th inning, 1st home run of the season. Tony Santillan continues to be awful. Gives up 3 runs in 1/3 of an inning. And from there, Caleb Ferguson give you 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. TJ Antone, 2 shutout innings before Santillan gives up the 3 runs. You did have a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless from Zachary McCambly. I believe that was his MLB debut. And Stephen Kolek, very rock solid here for the Royals. 2 runs allowed over the course of 7 innings. Was taken deep by Blake Dunn. He gets her done for his 2nd home run of the season, but Daniel Lynch, Alex Lang, they both give you a shutout inning. Talking about shutout innings, how about the San Francisco Giants? 1-0. They take down the Milwaukee Brewers. Logan Webb, tremendous start here. 7 shutout innings, allowed just 1 hit and 1 walk along the way. Eric Miller out of the bullpen. Keaton Wynn gets a 5-out save from there, and Robert Gasser pitched well enough to win. Gave up 1 run in 5 innings. He was taken deep by Victor Barry Cotto. Hopefully I got that correct. His first, I believe, career home run. It was certainly his first of the season. From there, Chad Patrick, 4 shutout innings, but nothing to him for the Brewers. Just 3 total hits in this one. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, not a lot doing with their bullpen as they lose this game by a count of 11-9 to the Astros, despite the fact that they were up 5 runs going into the bottom of the 7th inning. Paul Skeens continuing to have some struggles. 3 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. Bullpen had bigger struggles, so you don't mess with the Yohan Ramirez. He got messed with. Isaac Paredes took him deep for his 7th home run of the campaign. Ramirez, 2 runs allowed in 2 1/3 innings. Mason Montgomery, 3 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Gregory Soto does not get a single out of the bullpen. He gives up 3 runs. Brandon Bedoy gives you an out of the bullpen scoreless, and Spencer Arrighetti, well, the regression did come from 4 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings, taken deep in this game by Mr. Henry Davis, who's starting to emerge. 5th home run of the season. From there, you also had Nick Gonzalez get a 2nd home run of the season, that off of Nate Pearson, who gave up 3 runs in his inning of work, but you did have Brian King be the king of giving you a shutout inning. Josh Hader, scoreless inning, and Alimber Santa, well, he did not deliver too many presents. He gave up a run in an inning, but Astros do find a way to be able to persevere in that one. Being able to persevere as well, the LA Angels, 11-4, they take down the Colorado Rockies. Michael Lorenzen continues to be awful. 8 runs allowed in 3 1/3 innings. He gives up a home run to Vaughn Grisham, 4th home run season. From there, Keegan Thompson, 3 runs allowed in 2 2/3 innings. You did have Seth Alverson give you a shutout inning along TJ Shook, and on the flip side for the Angels, while Big Yarena does not Yarena all over this game, does give up home run to Tristan Freeman, 3rd home run of the campaign. Gives up 3 runs in total over the course of his 6 innings of work. Ryan Zephyrian, run allowed in an inning, but Drew Pomerantz, Kirby Yates, they're both able to supply you with a scoreless inning of their own. The Walker Texas Rangers, well, they do not Walker their way to a victory, 5-3. Cardinals get the job down here. Andre 3000 Palante does not give up 3,000 runs, gives up 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. Jojo Romero from there does give up a pair of runs in 2/3 of an inning, but Ryan Stanek at his back, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Riley O'Brien, a scoreless inning, and Mackenzie Gore does get gored. 4 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. From there, Luis Carvello gives up a run in 1 1/3 innings. Cal Quantrill, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and Robert Ullstrom in his MLB debut, he was able to end 1 1/3 innings scoreless. For the Cubs, they upchuck defeat from the jaws of victory. 5-4, they lose in 10 innings to the Athletics. For Jeffrey Springs, out very early in this game, 4 runs allowed in 3 2/3 innings, taken deep twice as it was Seiya Suzuki, IC, 8th home run season, and Pete Armstrong also his 8th. From there, the bullpen, 6 1/3 innings scoreless. Joel Kuno, Jose Suarez both give you 4 outs out of the bullpen. Mark Leiter Jr. pair of outs out of the bullpen. Luis Medina, Hogan Ayers, Justin Turner all give you shutout innings. For Colin Ray, hit Pepper to a pretty solid start. 2 runs allowed in 5 1/3 innings. Hobie Miller from there. Pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Jacob Webb gives up a run in an inning, but Caleb Theobart, 2 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning as it was home run number 2 of the season for the pinch hitter in Kobe Thomas. That was really what led to extra innings as Phil Matonen out of the bullpen scoreless. Daniel Palencia, 8 scoreless inning, and this guy has been posting up a low ERA, but I don't feel like he's pitched very well. Ethan Roberts gives up an unearned run in the 10th inning. He got a pair of outs out of the bullpen. Ryan Rolson, he had to get the final out of that 10th inning, but not enough to be able to get the job done there. And for the Braves, they just continue to get the job done now, 42-20. 7-3, they take down the Blue Jays. Patrick Corbin, regression at 4 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings. Taken deep by Mauricio Dubon, 4th home run season. Then Ozzy, Albies, 10th home run season off of Alex Macco, who gives up a pair of runs in 2/3 of an inning of work. You had Uriel Rodriguez give up a run in 1 1/3 innings. Did get a scoreless inning from the young gun Hayden Junger. And on the flip side for the Braves, Grant Holmes, well, he was able to get this one home. 2 runs allowed in 6 innings. Does give up a home run to Nathan Luke's first home run season. Then you had a home run number 5 of the season for Brandon Valenzuela. That comes off the bullpen piece in Mr. Tyler Kinley, who gives up his home run in his inning of work. Dylan Lee, Robert Suarez. They're both able to give you a scoreless inning. And if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in Major League Baseball right now has been an overwhelming season and an overwhelming last 7 days. Overall for the season, favorites are hitting at a rate of about 55.7%, 498 and 401 on the money line. But now we've had a whopping 118 favorites not cover the run line. Over rate is back above 51%. 461 overs, 440 unders, and if math serves me correct, 24 pushes along the way. Meanwhile, last 7 days in baseball, favorites really having a rough go of it. 44 and 41 on the money line, with having a nice hearty 12 of those favorites not covering the run line. Meanwhile, the over rate, 64%. 55 overs, 31 unders, and 2 pushes along the way. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we do chat it up with our good friend Colby Marchio over there at Better Day, right here on the Baseball Betting Show. Myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the Beats and Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man as we've got Colby Marchio aboard. He's doing a great job over at Better Day, taking a look day in and day out, looking at this amazing sport of baseball. If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the newest adds to the Covers roster as well. He's doing a great job over there. I know that he's on his Substack doing an incredible job looking at this great sport of baseball. He, much like myself, also a schmuck for the game of college basketball, so that's why we get along so well. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Colby M. Betts all together. And Colby, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Of course, Greg. And I just have to say, for the Substack lovers, it had to take a back seat due to me doing more work over at Covers. Now, you are correct. I did have the luxury and honor of joining their staff. It's been great.
It is amazing. And what has been amazing has been this baseball season thus far, as it's about 9 to 10 weeks through. And just what have been some of the things that you've been picking up on? Because I know that you're a big player prop guy. You also get into team totals a little bit more as we get later on into the season, and feel like we're starting to get that good sample size where we're able to know these teams quite a bit better.
100%. I've been waiting for you to message me and be like, hey, I need you to come on, because, Greg, I've been holding on to some information for you that I know you'll nerd out with me. And I've kind of shifted my process a little bit more, looking at things a little bit more than I have in the past. And that's ground ball rate, fly ball rate, and line drive rate. I want guys elevating the ball. I've always looked at poorly rated ground ball rates, which is always important, but really making sure I like a guy. Is he in a good spot to boom? Is he going to elevate tonight? And Greg, I don't know how this isn't a thing, but I came up with a new term. It's called elevation rate, which is just line drive and fly ball rate combined. Now, if anyone out there has already had this term coined or something like that or another, sorry, don't get out of the house much, too busy watching baseball. But I want more elevation rate. I think yesterday, at the time of the recording is Tuesday, and I had Jonathan Aranda. I had his H to double R. I was so in love with him because over his last 30 plate appearances, his elevation rate was 94.8%. That's pretty hot. That is just mouth-watering statistics. The ground ball rate didn't really exist, but it didn't come through. But it's not always going to come through. The people of the internet need to realize nobody's batting 1,000. So I don't mind losing. Yeah, my thing is you got to be comfortable with losing. You got to be comfortable knowing you are on the right prop, regardless if it wins or loses. Sometimes it's the price. With baseball, Greg, you and I both know, sometimes the books, they don't really care. They don't really care. And sometimes the price is the win. And sometimes that's all you can hold on to. That, and when you lose, you're like, oh, that was a really good read. Those sometimes hurt more than others when you know it was such a damn good read that you'd be on it 10 times out of 10, regardless of the outcome, because you know it's a good read. But I know you're going to mention the team total price. I've been tiptoeing around when I want to add those because I want a big enough sample size. I want to love the prop. I don't want to just be betting it because, you always tell people, Colby, that if it's 1.5 and you think an offense is going to boom, doesn't matter what the price is below minus 180 or something like that. And then 2.5, the price typically does matter unless you think they're going to boom and maybe take it up to minus 115, 120. But sometimes I don't even like that. For that prop, it's the price, sample size, how that offense has been doing, and is that pitcher really Antonio Sanzantello of 25?
Hey, Antonio Sanzantello of 2026 has been pretty rock solid, and if I'm not mistaken, he's got more wins this year than he did last year. So maybe you just need to find a home in the bullpen and not a home as a starter, because he was absolutely awful this last season. As joining me on the show, we've got Colby Marchio, who does such great work over at Better Day and Covers right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And I'm so glad that you mentioned price as well, because a lot of people, whenever you're on social media, Twitter/X, they're looking for you to bat 500 or better with regards to your bets. And I think that you'd be one of the first people to tell people when it comes to a money line sport, it's much different than being able to just say, oh, I'm above 500 or below 500, because when you're betting minus $2 every night on the Dodgers, being one game above 500 is not very good. Meanwhile, if you're taking like plus $3 on home run props, if you're like 4 and 5, that's actually really, really good.
So yeah, it's funny because my MLB record is gargantuan losing. So I have last year's, the year before that, or everything from 2023 to last year's in front of me, because I know it's easy to get to. 1,202 wins, 1,881 losses. So, and the reason why we're here, to win up 130 units. It doesn't matter what you win or you lose. It's all about, are you profiting? If you're profiting, you're fine. I bet a lot of home run props. Greg mentions that all the time. Anytime I'm on here, I'm going to lose a lot of them, and I'm only putting a quarter unit on. But when I hit them, good God, I'm making as much as I am if I'm cashing the bases or the H to double R prop as well. So if you're profiting, be fine with losing. It's going to come around. Getting the better price is eventually going to come around for you. And also, can't stress this enough, because a lot of people think it doesn't exist. Shop around. It's crucial.
And even in terms of in-game betting as well, because if a line closes like 5 or 10 cents off at one book compared to another, you're going to get a different price in-game as well. So always have at least a few apps that you're taking a look at, whether that be in-game, whether that be pre-game, post-game, what have you. And I always do feel like when you get that differential, because sometimes you'll see a number between 7.5 to 8. If you're having a lay like minus 125, minus 130, the lesser number you're getting plus money on, always take the plus money in my opinion as well. So right there with you, Colby. And Colby, I know that you've been liking the Chicago White Sox team quite a bit. There's been quite a few teams that you've been trying to find some value on, quite a few players in general. And just how do you take a look at this White Sox team? Because they're just coming off of a series against the Minnesota Twins as we record this on Thursday. And I do think that for this White Sox team, it's going to be interesting to see what happens the next few weeks without Montaka Murakami. That I think that we can both agree, no doubt it's a big injury, but it just feels like this team time and time again is getting the job done. And at every single turn, they've just been undervalued this year.
For the people that heard me laughing, it was because I have a story for Greg. It's funny that you mentioned this.
Oh, good.
So my girlfriend is very big White Sox fan. I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm also a lover of sports. I love baseball. I fall in love with a team pretty much every year that I'm already in love with the Yankees, but people have never said anything to me. They didn't say anything to me in 2023 when I was in love with that Rangers team. And I said in June of that year, I think they're going to win the World Series. Did I bet it? No, because I'm a dunce. Anywho, I typically fall in love with a team that isn't my actual favorite team because it's sports. You're going to fall in love with somebody else. Teams are cool. They mesh. They're fun to watch. Last year, it was the Giants before June or July when they turned out to be horrific. But I'm in love with this White Sox team. Greg, I just bought a jersey, and it's so funny that you said it. It's behind me in the chair. We got a Ventura jersey behind me. They're so fun, and people are trying to call me a bandwagon, those being my girlfriend's family members, because I'm in love with them so much. And one, I bought into them preseason. I had their win total. I had Will Venable 50-1 to win AL Manager of the Year. I still think that ticket looks phenomenal. I don't care about the A's. I don't care about Kevin Cash. I think this is one of the most exciting teams in baseball. And if you have any negativity towards this team, one, remember, 2 years removed from being the worst team of all time. Let that sink in. It's a long pause here. I'm not done talking. Worst team to ever do it 2 years ago. They're so exciting. It doesn't matter if they have flaws. They have this and that. They're everything I expected them to be, because in the second half of last season, we saw they had a better record than the Dodgers, the Mets, a bunch of other teams. And it's because they're starving. There's nothing more dangerous than somebody that's desperate and starving. And that entire roster, I believe, is 23, 24 years of age on average. Those kids are starving to stay in the bigs. It's more dangerous than a seasoned veteran that's been there 10 years and he's got tenure. He's going to be on the roster regardless, unless he gets DFA'd and then he's going to retire. These kids are trying to make a name for themselves, and they happen to also like each other. The power of friendship is the most dangerous thing in sports, and that's why the White Sox are dangerous. I coined them the never say die White Sox for a reason. The pitching looks phenomenal. Davis Martin isn't talked about enough. Vargas may be the best third baseman in the AL Central, and I still think they win it because I don't trust any of those other teams.
Absolutely. It has been remarkable what we've seen out of the White Sox, one of the few teams in the American League above 500 right now, and one of the teams that a lot of people thought were going to be one of the best teams in the American League, the Detroit Tigers. Well, they have not been one of the best teams out there in the American League. So goes to show you how much things can be just off the rails and wonky, and just how important is it to just, because I know with your philosophy in terms of taking a look at team totals, what have you, you wait for a long sample size. How important is it to really not have priors at this portion of the season? Because I do think that there are still some people are clinging on to, oh, the Tigers were so good the last few seasons, they're going to be able to turn around at some point, and doesn't feel like a turnaround's coming in here. And looking at you, the New York Mets, who certainly don't look like they're going to be turning things around as well. Meanwhile, for the White Sox, they continue to be dogged because everyone remembers what happened over the last few seasons and aren't looking enough at what they've done this season.
It's a tough read, especially when you've seen teams like, we'll just use the Tigers as a great example, of them be arguably one of the best teams in baseball. But again, going back to last season, if you want to use last season as an example, they're one of the most inconsistent lineups maybe in baseball. Sure, when they're hot, they're hot. But when we saw them at their lowest, hey, we saw the Guardians go off and steal the division. So there's nothing. I don't like the Tigers. I don't like them in the sense that you can't trust them. So when I see it may be a Riley Green day, I just go, oh my God, I have to trust that lineup. And this doesn't go into my process, but you got to think it's baseball. When other guys are hitting the ball, they got momentum, other guys get lifted up as well. And you want to luck into a rally sometimes when it's late in the game and you're like, this is going to be his last at bat. Or is Riley Green going to do it all himself? So that team, I don't know what to think of them. I can't think of a good example of another one where I'd be like, hey, just be patient. I'm sure they're going to turn around, because I wish I'd be talking about the Royals in that sense, because they're horrible. The whole Central's horrible. So it just makes it so much easier to talk about the White Sox being exciting when that Central's just so pitiful. I feel like the Royals should send back the fence, because that's what my whole buying point was. Oh, they're going to hum. They got bats on that team that could hit. I mean, Carter Jensen's been great. Bobby Witt's awesome. But where's everybody else? What is this team? They should be burning it down because it's so pathetic.
Yeah, Vinny Pasquantino not helping out the Italians out there for you, Kobe.
Yeah, thanks, Vin.
Vinny's getting a lot of strays right now, but you know what? It's been interesting to look at, to say the least. And that does lead me into this as well, because we've talked a lot about the White Sox. Obviously, you've been able to find a lot of value on them. Have there been a few players in general? Because Vinny Pasquantino was one of your guys last year, certainly not one of your guys right now that you've been able to find a lot of value on. Have there been a few guys they've been taking a look at in terms of their total bases, in terms of their home runs, that you've been betting a little bit more than normal and you've been able to find a little bit of success with?
Yeah, the one that came to mind when you asked that is Nick Kurtz. Nick Kurtz, I believe, I don't want to be wrong, but this may not be true, because I don't have the stat in front of me. But I think when elite on Batters-Box, Nick Kurtz has a near 70% hit rate on 1.5 H to the double R. And more often than it should be, he hovers around even money. The guy who has the highest on-base percentage in baseball, who when you bet on that prop, he could walk and then score and then walk again and score, and you cash said prop. Juan Soto is another guy that does that quite often, but he should not be priced that high. There's no way I bet him to go over his H to double R. Minus 105. That's a misprice. Near 70% hit rate. These trends have so much baked into them. It's ISO, WOBA, hard contact, K percentage, ground balls percentage, and a bunch of other stuff. So those, even if it's under 100 game sample size, those percentages mean a ton more, folks, for the people listening, than batter versus pitcher history. That can get thrown out the window. But Nick Kurtz, I think, gets disrespected quite often on that prop, especially.
And man, Nick Kurtz, he has been drawing a whole heck of a lot of walks this year. Power seems to be coming back for him. It was a little bit down towards the beginning part of the season, but you know what they love about him? To quote the great movie Moneyball, that was based around the Athletics, he gets on base. And a man that always gets on base for us, and a man that always provides great insights, that'd be you, Colby. You're doing such great work over at Covers, Better Day, and so much more. So love the good people at home. Know it's all on tap for you, and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Of course. Thank you as always, Greg, for letting me come on and scream and spew things that I believe is true and no one can say otherwise, because it's just us. But you can follow me on Twitter/X at Colby on Bets if you want to argue with me. I mean, I may not reply because I may be a small man. Anywho, I make it real easy to find me, Colby on Bets, wherever you need to find me. If you have any questions, concerns, hey, what do you look for this, blah, blah, blah. All of my write-ups, I typically try to paint you guys exactly what I'm looking at. I do the very best that I can. If you have a problem, have an issue, any concerns, you reach out to me. And if I got any bigger problems with you, Greg will handle you himself.
I don't know if I can co-sign on the last part of that, but I will do my best to have your back, Colby. I've always done my best to be able to do so because Colby, he is a man that does such a great job with regards to looking at this great game of baseball. He's a schmuck for college basketball, much like myself. He's a man that does a great job out there in the Midwest, and he's a man that loves a sausage and a brat, much like myself. I will always take a brat/sausage over a hot dog any day, so that is something that I'm sure Colby can co-sign on, and every single time Colby joins me, he lends such great insight. So big thanks to Colby for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming up next, it is that time of the podcast to give you picks and analysis of every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Colby Marchio. He does such great work over at Better Day, along with Covers. Taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and did so once again today. So a big thanks to Colby for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast to give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that, as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_81. We are going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first, then the American League games, any interleague games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. Let's get things started. This is 901, 902 on the card. The Phillies are going to be playing OC Slam Diego Padres. Lucas Giolito is on the bump for the Pods. Zach Whelan and Dylan Wheeler goes for the Phillies. Phillies minus $2 favorites, plus 165 to plus 170. That number on the Pods. 8.5 is the total. Under is minus 120. Over is even money, and I do like the under. It's semi-total at 7.9. Lucas Giolito had a 3.41 ERA last season with the Red Sox, albeit he was quite fortunate to have that. He was getting fewer than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, was giving up in that neighborhood of only about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings, but still had some good fortune there. Has been shaky with regards to command thus far in his 3 starts, so a small sample size. He has given up 1.4 home runs, and the 8.5 walks per 9 innings are not necessarily amazing, but he has registered a 4.97 ERA. He's coming off the injury list, so that's a big reason why he's been a little bit shaky, and I do think that's going to be getting better moving forward. He does face off against the Philadelphia Phillies lineup that just has not been great this far this season. For the Phillies, they're 28th in the league in terms of run creation. This despite the fact that Kyle Schwarber is on pace for over 55 home runs this season, albeit he's not necessarily aiming for a lot of average and is currently on base for well over 200 strikeouts, but 22 home runs is 22 home runs. Bryce Harper, 14 bombs. He's been able to give you about a 360 on base, but that entire infield, the catcher spot, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner down for what? All these guys hitting at 230 or lower. Bryson Stott is hitting at 215. Brandon Marshall's been great at moving the line. He's been able to hit about a 330, but Adolis Garcia and company haven't been able to get a lot there. And for the San Diego Padres, they themselves are in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run creation. Obviously, it's a case where their offense gets suppressed when they're at home, but I mean, still 3.9 runs per game. That is 29th in all of baseball. Fernando Tatis Jr. currently on pace for 3 home runs this season. You do have Manny Machado and Gavin Sheets with 10 bombs apiece, and Sheets is up to a 333 on base. Had Manny Machado hit for a 171, just absolutely terrible. And then Jackson Merrill's barely hitting above the middle line of 200. Nick Castellanos, a former Philly, 221 on base this season. Freddie Fermin is hitting a $130. So you've had a lot of guys that have struggled here, but you do have a Padres bullpen that has been one of the best in all of baseball. When you've got Jason Adam along with Mason Miller, both give you a sub-2 ERA, that's great. Bradley Rodriguez has been a really good reliever as well. He's down to a sub-2 ERA after a shaky start to the season. Andre Morahone has been solid as well. Wandy Peralta company, they're doing their part. And for the Philadelphia Phillies, being able to get Yohan Duran off the injury list along with Ryan Kerkering, pair of guys giving you a sub-3 ERA, that's been pretty massive. You've been able to get some okay innings recently out of the likes of Tim Mays along with Brad Keller, sub-365 ERAs out of both of those guys, likes of Jonathan Bolin and company, haven't been great, but do you think that you get a lower scoring game, especially with Zach Wheeler and the way that he's come off the injury list, albeit he may not be a strict artist right now, but I need to be able to come back and look much like the Zach Wheeler that we all know and love. In his 7 starts, 227 ERA, only about 8.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he's given up 1 home run per 9 innings, 1.8 to 1.9 walks per 9. Should be able to help the Phillies get the job done here. For the Phillies, I set their money line price at a minus 214, but I'm going to be looking at the run line. I was willing to take a minus 109 or better, and right now you're going to be finding that at a little bit of a plus number. Most places right around about plus 105, so look in there, and I do like the under. 9-3, 9-4 on the card. It is the Giants. They're going to be on the road against the Milwaukee Brewers. Coleman Crowe is on the bump for the Brewers, and Adrian Doogie is on the bump for the Giants. 9.5 is the total. Under is minus 115, over is minus 105, minus 158 to minus 165. That number on the Brewers, plus 135 is that number on the Giants. I set the Brewers here at a minus 168 on the money line. If you're looking to lay a run half with them, you're also going to be getting plus money on this run line. This one more in that neighborhood of about plus 135 is what I'm seeing, and I'm going to be willing to take a shot there for the Brewers. Need at least a plus 123. Coleman Crowe has only gotten about 5 strikeouts per 9 innings at the big league level. It's a really small sample size of 3 starts, and did have an ERA above a 4 at the AAA level, but he's been able to do a nice job with regards to command ever since he got sent up to the big league level, and he's been optioned quite a few times by the Brewers. 3.14 ERA, 0.6 home runs, 1.9 walks per 9 innings, and Adrian Hauser is a former Brewer, so they'll know what he's throwing a little bit more. He struggled a bit, 5.59 ERA, 1.4 home runs, 3.4 walks per 9 innings, with a bullpen that's been right around about league average now, with 4.12 ERA, that is 17th in all baseball. We have seen the likes of Caleb Killian really start to regress a little bit. You still have JT Brubaker as a long guy who's been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Keaton Wynn has been able to do a relatively solid job as well, but Matt Gage hitting the injury list, that's been a little bit of an issue for this team, but bigger issue for the Giants. They're currently 27th in the big leagues in terms of run creation. This is despite Casey Schmidt really having a coming out party. 282 average, 12 home runs. Willie Thomas is now up to 9 home runs, but still 285 on base. Rafael Devers, 7 home runs, 297 on base. You just expect more out of these guys. Now, Jung-Ho Lee, Luis Arias are both hitting above a 300. They're dealing with the injury to Eloy Ramos, and with Harrison Bader hitting for less than a 200 with regards to his on-base percentage. That's not so great. And for the Brewers, this team is last in the big leagues in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis, but they continue to be a top 6 offense in terms of run creation because they just have so many guys that move the line. Jake Bauers is your leader in home runs, only guy with over 7 home runs entering into Wednesday. 10 bombs, about a 356 on base, but Bryce Terang, double-figure amount of stolen bases, 400 on base. William Contreras hits a 295. Christian Yelich is coming off the injury list. Both he and Jackson Trio hitting above above a 280. Andrew Vaughn has done a great job getting on base. Garrett Mitchell is giving you 360 on base. And for the Brewers, this has been a unit that has been in the top 10 in terms of bullpen ERA. This is despite the fact that Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill really had some issues to begin the season, but Aaron Ashby, DL turned it up, Paul, Grant Anderson, these have all been guys who have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. When Shane Drones come out of the bullpen, he's been solid as well. So do think that the Brewers find a way to be able to get the job done here. And I think this total's too high, so I might tell it at 8.6 like the under for the Brewers. We'll take plus 125 or better on that run line. 9-5, 9-6 on the card. The Dodgers are going to be on the road against the Diamondbacks as Ryan Nelson goes for the 6. Justin Robelski is on the bump for the Dodgers. Dodgers are minus 145 favorites. Plus 125 is that number on Arizona. 9.5 is the total. Over and under both at minus 110. For the Dodgers, did set them at a minus 157. Do not want the run line here because I do fear that Justin Robelski is going to be doing for a little bit of regression, but we'll take a shot on the money line, and I really think that both of these pitchers are going to be giving it up. Now, for Robelski, he's been able to do a really good job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard. 287 ERA, 341 fielding dependent, but just 5.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's pitching to a lot of contact. That does come along with 2 walks, 0.6 home runs per 9 innings, so closer to 341 fielding dependent. Meanwhile, for Ryan Nelson, had a really shaky start to the season. It's been much better recently, but you still have to have your trepidations with him. 482 ERA, 545 fielding dependent, 2.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and has now given up 3+ runs in 3 out of his last 4 starts. So it's had a lot of shakiness there, and you get to go up against a LA Dodgers team that they continue to mash away from him. The Dodgers 5.9 runs per game. That is number 2 in all of baseball for the Dodgers. They've had Kyle Tucker not even really live up to his billing thus far. Shohei Ohtani, a little bit down with regards to power, but he's still been able to give you about a 400 on base. Andy Paez, Max Muncy, a combined 27 home runs out of these two guys. After a slow start to the season with regards to home runs, Freddie Freeman hitting at 275. He's up to 9 bombs, so they're really getting things rocking and rolling there. And then for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte has now been able to give you 10 home runs. He's been able to heat it up quite a bit. Was out of the lineup yesterday, so something that you want to know. But still, you've got other guys that are moving the line, getting on base. Owen Arenado, about a 340 on base. Ryan Waldschmidt in a small sample size. He's been able to get on. Corbin Carroll, 8 home runs. You expect a little bit more there, but still over 350 on base. Iliarmo Vargas continues at 290 as well. Diamondbacks have been about a league average team in terms of their bullpen ERA. You've had quite a few guys actually step up in this bullpen. I don't trust Paul Sewell as a closer, but you still have the likes of Taylor Clark, Juan Murillo, Jonathan Loaizaga. These guys who have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. So I think that they'll be able to do an okay job here. And for the Dodgers, this has been one of the best bullpens in all baseball. I know that Tanner Scott had a little bit of a rough go of it about a week or so ago, but he's still looking like that guy that was one of the better relievers in all baseball a few seasons ago. Dodgers overall 7th in the league in terms of bullpen ERA. They're getting Jack Dreyer off the injury list. He, Alex Vesia, both have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. Edgar Enriquez has a little bit of higher ERA, but do see some upside there, but do think that both of these starters get lit ablaze, so semi-total 9.7. I like the over, and for the Dodgers, 1 to lay up to minus 156 on the money line. 907, 908 on the card. The Orioles are on the road against the Red Sox. We do know that Trevor Rogers is going to be on the bump for the O's. Right now, it's listed as undecided for Boston. The thought is Brian Bayo is going to be pitching in some form or capacity, and right now the opener is the Red Sox between minus 108 to a minus 120. Even money to minus 108. That number on Baltimore, and the total on this game, it is sent over and under both at minus 110, and I like the under. I somebody sold it at 8.7. Now, for Trevor Rogers, it has been a brutal start to the season for him, but his fielding independent is a full 2 points lower than his ERA. 684 ERA, 484 fielding independent, and has been giving up about 1.5 home runs per 9 innings, 3+ walks per 9, but now gets to go up against a Red Sox team that's averaging 3.2 runs per game at home. That's second last in all of baseball, and the real issue for the Red Sox has been the power numbers. They did have Jarren Duran hit for 9 home runs in the month of May, but right now they are last in the American League in terms of home runs on a per-at-bat basis. Wilson Contreras, double-figure amount of homers. He's been able to give you 380 on base, and got guys that are getting on base. Masataka Yoshida, Sadan Rafael, Weiler Abreu. These guys between about a 335 to a 350 on base. Small sample size, but Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hitting about a 300. Mickey Gasper, move line. Gil Durbin continues to be absolutely terrible for this team, and for the Red Sox, this continues to be a really good bullpen, even though Garrett Woodlock is on the injury list. Entered in the day on Wednesday, number 4 in the big leagues. In terms of bullpen ERA, they get Justin Slayton off the injury list, and after a shaky start to the season, Greg Weisert has been better. Giovanni Morin, he's been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. You've got Aroldis Chapman being one of the best closers in all baseball. Taylor Semenaijo has been solid, and on the flip side for the Orioles, they are dealing with Ryan Helsley being on the injury list, and this Orioles team is a bottom 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA. You do have Uncle Rico Garcia, Yanier Cano. These guys give you a sub-3 ERA, but Andrew Kittredge, Keegan Aiken, since coming off the injury list, both have well above a 6 ERA. Anthony Nunez has been very shaky for the Orioles. They've been a really good offense at home, not such a great offense away from home. 5th in the league in terms of run creation at home. A little bit over 5 runs per game away from home. That's 4 runs per game. That's a bottom 8 mark in all baseball, and they are going to need to get a little bit more on some of these guys at the bottom lineup. Kobe Mayo, Colton Cowser, these are guys hitting at 225 or lower. You just have not been able to get a ton whatsoever out of a lot of these mix and match guys as well. They are getting Jackson Holliday back off the injury list, but he has not been himself since coming off the injury list. He should be able to round in form a little bit more in. And Gunnar Anderson, double-figure amount of homers, less than a 280 on base. Adley Rutschman and Samuel Basayo, though, have been able to move the line, and I do think that for Brian Bayo, things are really starting to improve for him. He has given up 1 earned run or fewer in 4 out of his last 5 appearances. So that's that 5.63 ERA, 1.6 home runs, 3.4 walks per 9 innings. But after being brutally bad to begin the season, he has been able to look much better here recently. As a result, set the Red Sox at a minus 126. Like them on the money line. I like the under. Somebody told it at 8.7. 909, 910 on the card. The Guardians are on the road against the Yankees. Carlos Rodon is on the bump for the Yankees, and you've got Mr. Salid Sissoni on the bump for the Guardians. Guardians who find themselves as an underdog between plus 129 to a plus 136, minus 156 to a minus 165. That number on the Yankees with a total of 8.5 over and under, anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. The run line price on the Yankees right now is a plus 125, and I was willing to lay up to a minus 110 with the Yankees run line. Set this at a minus 111. I just don't trust in Slade Sissoni whatsoever. He's been posting up a 5.25 ERA with 1.3 home runs allowed per 9 innings, only about 7.7 strikeouts per 9, and the Yankees do continue to lead the league in terms of run creation at home with about 5.7 runs per game. Been shaky for Aaron Judge here over the last few weeks, but he and Ben Rice have both been very rock solid, giving you 16 plus home runs apiece for Judge. He probably is going to be out of the lineup once again today after he was yesterday, so that is something that you do want to be noting here. But you've had Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, both at above a 275, and for Goldschmidt, 7 home runs and 116 at-bats going into yesterday. He's turning back time. Need a little bit more out of Ryan McMahon and the catcher's spot in the infield. Anthony Volpe, in a small sample size, has actually been relatively okay for the team, and getting stolen bases out of Jared Calabreo, Jazz Chisholm, both above 14 plus stolen bases this season. And for the Guardians, since the beginning of the month of May, they actually have been averaging 4.5 runs plus per game. You're going to need more out of your star players. Jose Ramirez, 8 home runs at a 236 average entering into yesterday. You expect more there. Rhys Hoskins does have an on-base percentage above a 325, but 5 home runs at inning less than a 200. That's an issue. Steven Kwan has been awful for the team, but Brian Rocchio about a 370 on base. Chase Lauder, the power's not really there, but he's moving the line. I know Martinez has actually led the way with his home run power with 9 home runs, so that's been a little bit interesting. And for the Guardians, this has been more like a league average team in terms of opening area. They did have to put Eric Zabrowski, one of the better relievers, on the injury list. Cade Smith, after a shaky start to the season, he has now been very rock solid. He and Tim Aaron both give you a sub 325 ERA, but Matt Festa has been very shaky. Hunter Gaddis has not had himself a very good year either. And for Carlos Rodon, he has been dealing with command issues, about 6.2 walks per 9 innings. He's only made a few starts since coming out the injury list. Looked better in his last start, giving up 2 walks over the course of 6 innings. So overall, 332 ERA with 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. So do think that the Yankees go out there, dominate this game. We'll take plus money on the run line. Set this at a minus 111 personally, and maybe my total in an 8.8 even if you don't get Aaron Judge in the lineup. So looking at the over. 9-11, 9-12 on the card. It is the Royals. They're going to be on the road against the Minnesota Twins. For the Twins, it is currently listed as to be determined, and we do know that Seth Lugo is going to be on the bump for the Royals. We are seeing a few openers on this one as the Royals do find themselves in a relatively pick'em game. Right now with the Royals, they're minus 112, minus 104 on the Minnesota Twins. So on this game, it is 9. Under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105, and this looks like it's going to be a wholesale approach game for the Minnesota Twins, as it appears as though Andrew Morris is going to be acting as an opener. There are some rumors that Marco Rea might be seeing some innings in this game. They might be calling him up to the big league level. It's probably just going to be a full-on mix-and-match game here. You could be seeing some Simeon with Richardson as well, which that's not very good for the Minnesota Twins. And as a result, I actually had to set the Royals here to minus 122 on the money line. I'm going to be willing to take a shot on them just because, man, you just don't know what you're going to be able to get out of this Twins bullpen. They're a bottom 6 team in terms of bullpen ERA. The opener in Travis Adam, he's right now posting up an ERA above an 8. Anthony Banda has been posting up an ERA above a 4. Eric Orze has been rough. Cody Lawyerson coming off the injury should help out this bullpen a little bit, but he's at a 6 ERA as well. You just don't have any good options whatsoever for this team. And for the Twins, they've been a top 10 offense in terms of run creation. Byron Buxton, 17 home runs. He's hitting above a 250. Now, Josh Bell's not giving you too much in terms of moving line, but Brooks Lee up to 8 home runs. He's been able to hit about a 250. Austin Martin, a 360 on base. Trevor Lawrence, a 375 on base. Ryan Jeffers is moving line. So, been able to get quite a bit of good production there. On the other end, you've got a Kansas City Royals team that's dead second last in terms of run creation away from home. Entered in the series, averaging about 3.1 runs per game away from home. But yeah, the bullpen of the Minnesota Twins should be able to get them back online. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, 9 home runs apiece, but Perez at 260 on base. Vinny Pasquantino hitting a 208 with 5 home runs. You just need a little bit more there. Miguel Garcia's been able to move the line. He's hitting about a 270, but you've got Kyle Isbell with less than a 300 on base. Carter Jensen down to a 303 on base. You just need more out of these guys. And the Royals, they themselves have been suspect with regards to their bullpen, as this is a bottom 5 team themselves in terms of bullpen ERA. Matt Strom coming off the injury list should help, but he's been posting up an ERA that has been hovering right in that neighborhood about a 4. You've been able to get some good innings out of Mason Black, John Schreiber. They're below a 3 ERA along Daniel Lynch, but now you've got Nick Mears on the injury list as well. Lucas Ursuch has an ERA that is currently above a 6. Steven Cruz has been absolutely awful as well. And for Seth Lugo, he's a touch-and-go pitcher that it feels like really gets figured out as the season goes along. Thus far, he's been able to do a very solid job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard. For Lugo, he's going to pitch with quite a bit of contact, but right now, 0.5 home runs per 9 innings allowed, 7.6 strikeouts, 2.9 walks per 9 innings, 355 ERA, 315 fielding dependent. I think that's more presentable than what you get out of the Twins. So, did set a total year of an 8.9. I do like the 9 to the under with the lack of offense you're getting from the Royals, and I do like the Royals here on the money line, set them at minus 122. 9-13, 9-14 on the card. It's the Blue Jays on the road against the Atlanta Braves. Chris Sale hopes to not sell for the Braves, and currently it's listed as undecided for the Blue Jays, so Chad Dallas is going to be pitching in some sort of a bulk capacity, might be an opener in front of him, and we do see an opener or two with the Braves at a minus 188, plus 158 is that number on the Jays, and we are seeing a total in a lot of places at a 7.5, over minus 115, under is minus 105. I did set my total at 8.2. I do like the over. Now, Chris Sale has given up 2 earned runs or fewer in 10 out of his 11 appearances thus far this season. Has really had things rocking and rolling with a 2.01 ERA. Do you think that could be doing for a little bit of regression, though? The fielding dependent, more around about a 290. It is a Blue Jays offense that is only 22nd in terms of run creation with about 4.1 runs per game this season, but they really don't strike out a lot. They're second in the big leagues in terms of fewest strikeouts on a per-at-bat basis overall, number 1 in terms of games played away from them, so they do a nice job in terms of maximizing at bats, and you got a lot of guys who are getting on base for the Blue Jays. The big issue has been the power. Vlad Guerrero Jr., just 3 home runs this far this season. You need a little bit more there. Kazuma Okamoto, lone guy on the roster entering into the day on Wednesday with over 6 home runs, 13 bombs out of him, and he's been one of the guys that hasn't really moved line, got on base. He and Andres Jimenez both hitting below 225, but then Jesus Sanchez, Nathan Lukes, Hendrik Pinago, Guerrero, I mentioned before, Ernie Clement, all these guys were hitting at 286 or better going into yesterday, so they're getting on base. Solon Varsho has been able to find a way on as well, but for the Atlanta Braves, continues to be a top 3 team in terms of run creation. Matt Olson, 17 bombs with over a 340 on base. Michael Ayers is hitting at 300 with 13 home runs. Ozzy Albies is hitting at 280. He's been able to go yard. Austin Riley continues to be a little bit rough, and Ha-Seong Kim, they're going to need him to be able to pick it up after he's been injured for much of the season, but Ron Acuna Jr., 5 home runs over the last 8 or 9 days. He's been around into form. The Atlanta Braves have also been really good with this bullpen as well, entering into the day on Wednesday. Numero uno in terms of bullpen ERA. Racy Iglesias, Robert Suarez, both posting at sub 225 ERA. Dylan Dodd, Dylan Lee are doing the same as well. Ronaldo Lopez is able to give you some good long relief, and for the Blue Jays, Louis Varland has been one of the best relievers in all of baseball thus far this season. Then you're able to throw in there a few other guys that have done a nice job in terms of coming up big. You've had Braden Fisher along with Tyler Rogers, both be able to supply an ERA that's below a 275. Mason Flority's looked a little bit better as well. Jeff Hoffman, though, has been quite shaky this far this season, and I just don't know where we're going to be able to get out of Chad Dallas, because he was posting up an ERA right around about a 450 at the minor league level. Just issues lending length, 36 total innings in 10 appearances. While Varland and company have been very solid, the long guys have just not been able to get the job done, so do think that the Braves get to him in good form here for the Braves. I was willing to lay up to a minus 113 on the run line. Right now, you are going to be finding that at plus money, and I did set a total of an 8.2. As a matter of fact, run line price is plus 118, so looking at the Braves on the run line and the total to the over. 9:15, 9:16 on the card. It's the Athletics. They are going to be on the road playing against the Chicago Cubs, as we do know that Shota Imanaga is going to be on the bump for the Cubs. Right now, the betting board reads undecided for the Athletics. That's why this game is off the board. This probably should be JT Ginn and juice for the Athletics right now. That's what they're listing going across the board. And right now you're seeing an opener with the Cubs at a minus 130 plus 110 on the Athletics with a total of 11 over and under both at minus 110. The wind is going to be blowing out irregularly, probably about 10 plus miles per hour. Set a total of a 10.6. I think that's gone a little bit too far here, even though Shota Imanaga has not been good recently. For Shota Imanaga, my goodness gracious, he is up to a 4.37 ERA. He has given up a whopping 20 runs over his last 3 starts. Got off to a really nice start to the season. It has toilet bowled from there. Fielding dependence were more around about a 4.43, 1.7 home runs, 2.3 walks per 9 innings, and swing and miss stuff is up to about 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's actually been backed up by a bullpen that's been pretty solid for the Cubs. They're at about a 3.42 with their bullpen ERA. That's a top 10 mark in all of baseball. I know that they've dealt with some injuries, but Caleb Theobar, Daniel Palencia have come off the injury list. They've both been able to give you a sub 3.50 ERA. Porter Hodge being out has really hurt the team, but Hobie Milner has been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. They need more out of Phil Matone, but Jacob Webb and company, these guys have been relatively solid. And for the Cubs, they really struggled with their offense in the month of May. Ian Happ has been solid with 13 home runs, but he was the only guy going into yesterday with more than 7 home runs. Pico Armstrong, about a 330 on base, and you just look up and down the boulevard, typically about 7 out of your 9 starters are give you at least a 325 on base, like Seiya Suzuki, 325 on base, Nico Horner, 340 on base, and you've got a lot of guys in that neighborhood, but they're just not giving you a ton right now. Meanwhile, for the Athletics, this has been more of a league average team with regards to run creation. Shea Langeliers is still having a nice season. It's cooled down a little bit, but 14 home runs, 360 on base. Nick Kurtz just continues to draw walks and get on base. A 440 on base. He's up to 11 home runs this season. Brent Rooker, Tyler Soderstrom, both of these guys hitting below 230. You need a little bit more there, and Jacob Olsen has dealt with injury, but you've had Zach Aloff come off the injury list. 6 home runs at about 140 at bats. He's been able to about a 260, and Carlos Cortez continues to give you a 4 on base. Now for the Athletics, they're in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, but still has not really been too bad of a bullpen other than Mike Leiter Jr. has been just absolutely terrible. You want absolutely no part of him whatsoever, but likes of a Scott Barlow, Joe Kuno, Hogan Harris. These guys have been able to give you a sub 325 ERA. Justin Cerner, more around about a 341 ERA. And for JT Ginn, I do think that there's going to be regression here. 287 ERA. Fielding dependent is closer to a 4 as he's been giving up darn near 4 walks per 9 innings. About 7.8 strikeouts per 9. Now he keeps the ball in the yard. 0.9 home runs per 9 innings. I did set the Cubs though at a minus 141. I'm going to be willing to lay that minus 130 money line in. 11 is just a little bit too high, even with the wind blowing out. Did set my total at 7.6, so at an 11 plus, I'm in on the under. Wrap things up with 917, 918 on the card. The Astros are going to be playing us the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jared Jones goes for the Buccos, and Kai Tang is on the bump for the Astros. And the Astros find themselves in a pretty close to pick'em game. Anywhere between minus 112 to a minus 108 on them. Minus 108 to minus 110 is that number on Pittsburgh. 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 110 to a minus 115. Under is minus 105 to a minus 110. Made the Pirates a minus 104. So if we can get the dime lines and get the Pirates right around about a pick'em, I'll be looking there. If either team becomes plus money, that's the team that I'm going to be looking at. So I do have this as a relative coin toss game as well. So we'll be seeing how this progresses overnight. But whoever becomes the underdog, that's who I'm going to be taking a shot on here, essentially, with Jared Jones. He makes his first start since the 2024 campaign a few days ago. He looked a little bit shaky in that start. He gave up 5 runs over the course of 4 1/3 innings. Had some good swing and miss stuff, 6 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings, and he was able to get some swings and misses at the minor league level, but certainly he does not look to be himself right now after he had that pretty solid rookie season where he was getting about 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, but still, even back then, he was giving up the deep ball quite a bit. Now, for Kai Tang, he has really been one of the lone bright spots for the Houston Astros right now, as he's been giving the team a 257 ERA, albeit 409 fielding dependent. He has been giving up 4.1 walks per 9 innings, but it's starting to line like 5+ innings in each out of his last 3 appearances. And that's big because this is an Astros team that's absolutely atrocious with their bullpen dead last in the big leagues with a 5.22 ERA. But now you're getting Josh Hader off the injury list. That should be a lot out. And Yel De Los Santos has gotten his ERA below 4, along with Brian King, Brian Abreu, AJ Blubaugh. There's still a bunch of guys who have been absolutely awful in this bullpen. And for the Astros, you've got 2 guys who are just absolutely clubbing the ball right now. Yordan Alvarez over a 400 on base. He's been able to supply 21 home runs. And then Christian Walker hitting about a 250, 16 home runs. Outside of those guys, what are you going to be able to get, though? Likes of Zach Cole, Zach DeZenzo, Cam Smith, Bryce Matthews. These guys in the outfield are hitting at 220 or lower without a lot of power. Jeremy Pena moved the line in at 275, but he has not been able to give you a lot of the deep ball as well. And for the Pittsburgh Pirates, plenty of guys are getting on base for you. Nick Gonzalez is hitting above 300. Brian Reynolds at 400 on base. Brandon Lau is getting loud at 15 home runs, about a 350 or so on base. Oniel Cruz is up to 14 home runs with 19 stolen bases. And then bottom lineup has been a little bit more shaky with the likes of Jared Trollo, Henry Davis, and company. But for the Pirates, they certainly have the better bullpen. Do have to say that they've had a few guys from last season that were really good that have acted up. Dennis Santana along with Justin Lawrence are posting up ERAs above a 4, but now they've got Kerman Bolshinski, who's in the starting rotation, into the bullpen because of Jared Jones now getting starts, so that should be able to help out a little bit. Evan Sisk has been able to give you a sub-3 ERA along Gregory Soto. So I did set the Pirates at a slim minus 104 again. Whoever becomes plus money, that's what I'm going to be looking at on the money line, and I did set a total of an 8.4, so on the 8.5, I do like the under, and that'll wrap things up for the Thursday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Big thanks to Colby Marchio. He does such great work over at Better Day along Covers. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like what you're hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one or two ways we'll fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at June_81. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you like here on this podcast via that 5-star review. I'm with you guys every single day, give you guys picks and analysis on every single game, every day, and I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.